everybody. This is Eric Worre, and welcome to NetworkMarketingPro.com. I am here again with Mr. Nathan Ricks. For those of you who've been around Network Marketing Pro for the last 3 years, Nathan was one of the first 10 shows that we ever did. Today we have 650 plus shows over the course of the last 3 years. Yeah. And what's even more impressive is, of all the shows we've ever done, Nathan's first interview is the most watched interview, the most watched show we've ever created. Over 250,000 views of that video of people all over the world. So, first of all, thank you for providing the value to all of those people, because people from lots of companies and lots of countries got value. They've sent their people there. They've used it as training. So
good.
It's been amazing.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was helpful.
Last time I braved the snow and the sleet to get down to St. George.
Exactly.
Today we're at his offices in Salt Lake City. And what I want to do is, in the last interview, we talked about your story, getting started, some of the defining moments for you, what brought you to network marketing. And for those that want to see the extended version of that, go back to that first interview, first 10 shows, and look in the archives, and you can watch that. But give people just a 3-minute overview of what brought you to this profession.
Well, Eric, I think the key for me was the realization finally that this was a different financial vehicle than what I was doing in my real estate brokerage. And just the fact that once you really, in your mind, understand that there is the potential for passive, residual, recurring income, that there's this concept where you can work hard one time and you can create residual streams of income. That's really different than anything else. I don't care if you're the top guy at Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs back on Wall Street and you make 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 million a year. That's great. You can make millions a year here too. The difference is, if those guys don't show up next year, they get zero.
Right.
And what's so powerful about building a network is the residual nature of the income, right?
Right.
I mean, the fact that you can continue to receive an ongoing benefit for a one-time effort. That's very unique and that's very different. Of course, that presupposes that your company's solid and it's going to stay in business and innovate and do the things they have to do to keep the company viable. But if you do that, and you've got that situation in your company, then you've got this unique ability. I tell people it's a totally different kind of money. Mm-hmm. You don't even know what kind of money we're talking about. Mm-hmm. You've never tasted it. And if you could just taste just a little bit of it, you'd do it. You'd do this no matter what. You wouldn't even think of anything else.
Right.
Because this is so much better.
Right. Are you seeing that that the world is changing when it comes to, for much of our lifetimes, people have been sold this idea that working for somebody else, plugging into somebody else's machine, being a good employee, being loyal to that corporation was the key to security.
Right.
Have you seen a change, just a shift in the world? What do you notice?
You and I are probably pretty close in age.
So probably.
In our day, our parents said, get good grades, get into the best college you can, do as good as you can, get a bunch of good interviews, pick the best one. And when I worked at AT&T, my mom was like, there's one kid taken care of, got a perfect job, a great retirement, great pension, I'll worry about the other kids, Mm-hmm. Imagine my parents' chagrin when I announced I quit AT&T. They were like, what are you talking about? That was just like as secure as the government, but better.
Right.
And I just couldn't believe that I would leave that.
Right.
And we talked the first time, I think, in one of our interviews about some of my early experiences that were pretty brutal.
Yeah,
with people that were pretty intense, with me.
Right.
And it wasn't just a
people who were just being disapproving of, like, what in the world? Have you lost your mind?
Not even disapproving, but condescending.
Mocking, condescending.
Yeah, just kind of really destroying your faith and confidence and belief in what you're doing, right? And so, those are really difficult situations, and anybody who's been successful in this business or will likely encounter some of that from somebody who's well-meaning at some point, but is completely ignorant.
Yeah.
And doesn't understand at all what they're even saying.
Right.
Okay? And so you just have to be patient with those kind of people. But over the years, I've thought about that. I've thought about this road less traveled, you know, and there's books by that title and all these things, and this definitely has been a road less traveled. Many
Sure.
people said, not good, not right, you know, you're dumb, why do that, those things blow up, that's stupid, that's not real business, get a real job, all those things we all hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely been a road less traveled, but it's been
A better road.
It's been worth the journey.
Yeah, well,
It's
we
been
but we
awesome.
say every day in this side of this community is we have a better way. It's not perfect. It's just better. It's better than all the other options you
Yeah.
have to be able to create. You said another good friend of mine, his name's David Fry. He's got a very successful traditional business, but he said the quality of the income in network marketing is completely different. Like
Yeah.
you said,
It's a
you've
different
never
kind.
tasted it.
It's a different kind of money.
Yeah, you never tasted it. So,
Yeah.
so do you find you spend your a lot of your time just trying to educate a person to that?
Well, that's most of the battle, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, products are easy to sell because it's, what's my product, look at this, here's what it does. What we're talking about is a concept.
right.
This is a conceptual sell,
Hmm.
right? It's trying to get people to twist their mind around and understand a completely different kind of vehicle.
Right.
It's the vehicle that's the difference.
Sure.
You know, I mean, that's what my brother-in-law said to me the first time, you know, he recruited me, right? Is he said, it's like you're pedaling a 10-speed bike, but I'm driving a Ferrari.
Right.
It doesn't matter how fast you pedal the 10-speed, you'll never catch me in my Ferrari.
Right.
And, you know, when you finally, in that simple analogy, start to wrap your head around that a little bit, and you try to believe that, okay, what does he mean? Why am I pedaling a 10-speed? That's the problem with most of the people that are listening to this video,
Mhm.
you know, is the fact that their vehicle is inferior.
Right.
It's flawed in some way, and sometimes significant flaws.
Yeah.
You know, it
But
doesn't
it's
even-
all they know.
It doesn't contain any of the mechanics of wealth.
Mm.
There's not even a possibility
Mhm.
they'll achieve what they want to financially, driving their current financial vehicle.
Yeah.
And so when you finally get that, it's okay, so it's different. It's out of my box. It's scary. You know, I don't know about it for sure. There's a lot of these other ones that blow up and stuff, and so I'm not, I mean, how do I know, you know, that I'm doing the right thing?
Right.
Those are all scary factors, but the fact is that the vehicle, when it's done right, is incomparable.
Right. So it's what's so fascinating about this, and what we like to talk about a lot with the viewers of this program is we try and help the people who are blind and help them see. We try and take the ignorant and help them become educated in a way that we don't condescend to them. You know, we're just
Right.
trying to educate. We're trying to, you know, if people are searching for answers, we spend a lot of time trying to just help them, like you said, wrap their brains around this concept that was not taught in their school or by their parents or by their,
No?
you know, religious institutions, any place.
Right.
And your parents were saying, I hope you get good grades, I hope you find a good company and all this stuff. My parents were saying, I hope he survives. I hope he gets out of school, let alone going on to success. But
Yeah.
anyway, it comes from lots of different shapes and sizes. Nathan, he doesn't like to talk about it a lot, but I'm going to brag him up just a little bit. And we talked just briefly before we turned on the cameras and saying this idea that he makes an enormous amount of money. And to date, he's earned over $50 million. On an annual basis, he earns about $4 million a year in commissions in the network marketing profession. Now, why do I say that? Not to say that he is superhuman, but to say that there's a ladder, there's a progression inside of the network marketing profession. He's at the top end of the profession, and it's something that you can aspire to because it's not something that he was born with, the skills necessary to be able to create that type of an income. What we're going to be talking about in this program is what are some of the core principles? What are some of the habits and beliefs and activities and disciplines that need to be in place to be able to start that journey? Now, you may not want to you might think that that's too far. 4 million years, just too far, and you can't get your head around it. But if that's possible for an average person, an independent distributor, you know, then how do you make $100? And then how do you make $1,000? How do you make $10,000? And then $100,000? And then $500,000? Then $1 million? Or whatever it is. And the thing that I love about our profession with the income, different than Wall Street and everybody else, is your income is a direct reflection of how many people you're serving. Your income is a direct reflection of how many people you're helping with your products, your services, and with the opportunity, other people living their dreams at various levels.
Right.
So anyway, that I just want you to know kind of who you're talking to. One rare air inside the network marketing profession. So give me one of the principles that is fundamental. I mean, if somebody wants to really create a journey here inside of the network marketing profession, what's one of the bedrock things?
I'll get to that, but I want to comment on what you just said about serving
okay.
those people.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes if I disclose, which I don't usually do, like you just did.
I know. This is inside of the family.
Okay?
It's not to prospects.
So people will sometimes say, you know, that's disgusting. You know, nobody's worth that much money, right? And that's where I get a little bit, you know, involved emotionally in that conversation, because they say, on the contrary, I completely disagree. It's exactly what I should get paid.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly how much product I've been able to move through this network, or teach people to move through this network.
Right.
And so I completely disagree, you know.
And that's what I'm saying. You should be proud of it. It shouldn't be like everybody, hey, join the company and you can make $4 million a year. Well, the answer is yes, you could, if you do.
It's just volume.
The work.
It's volume.
Yeah.
It's product volume.
Right.
It's not signing people up and getting a bounty per head.
Right.
It's volume. It's product being consumed.
Right.
That's
so you've built an organization that consumes more product?
Yeah,
than
consumes
others.
and sells that much product.
Right. Right. Well, I think, like I say, I think you should be proud of it. I'm proud to know you. I'm proud to be your friend. I think it's cool, to, you know, and we've had high earners on like you inside of this profession. It's not a huge group, but it's it's interesting to hear the recurring principles of the top earners. You know, the people who are struggling to make a living, they've got lots of different principles. But the people who've learned how to make a fortune have some bedrock foundational principles. So, you know, get us started down that road.
I've got 2 personal principles that I think people have to have, and then I've got 4 kind of business principles that are just generic for what we do in this industry. Okay,
great. Love it.
So the first 2 things that I mention all the time to people, and they say, okay, what do I need to do to be successful? You hear that all the time, and I say there's really 2 things. Okay. What you have to do is that you have to be focused and you have to be consistent. And if you can just do those 2 things, if you can just stay focused, and that's really difficult. Mm-hmm. Most people can't do that.
Right.
You know, they can't put the blinders on. I mean, they just have all these distractions. And part of the problem that all of us have, that are, at least many people have that are in this business, is they're entrepreneurs. That's why they're here. They want their own business. Some of them are aggressive and so forth. And we're distracted easily. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like to say, well, you got these entrepreneurial antenna, and they sit up here on your head, you know.
Right.
And the problem is that you got into this deal because that looks pretty good, you know. And those things kind of dial in. But the problem is the next month somebody calls you and says, well, look at this. And you go, oh, what's that?
Right.
Or what's that over here? And we get distracted, and those things just, what you have to do when you decide what you're going to do and you join in this industry, what you got to do is just retract those, just retract them and bolt them to your head. Mm-hmm. And don't let them come up, even if they try to come up. You don't let them come up. And you put the blinders on and you get focused. And you don't let all this stuff, you know, a horse outside Central Park that's going to give carriage rides on a busy street has got the blinders on, so he didn't see all this stuff going on over here. All he can see is what's right ahead of him right there.
Right.
And that's what we have to be.
So how
because
do people
you can always be distracted, and somebody can call you on the phone and say, I got this deal or I got that deal. Forget that. Once you've made that decision, you got to be focused.
You got people, different opportunities. You got Facebook. You got all these time stealers, right? You got social media.
Yeah.
You've got people texting you all the time and keeping you distracted that way. I mean, so one is focus of just entrepreneurially, right? The other one is focus of time. Because the one thing I know about you, and the one thing that everybody says about you, is Nathan Ricks works hard. He's a hard worker. He plays hard too. He enjoys his family, enjoys the things that, the good things in life. But he's a hard worker. He's focused. I mean, that's why I think if people were to describe you and pick out words, focus would be one of those words.
I guess so. I don't know, but I mean, I think that's really a key, and that comes back to being really clear on what you want to do, having those goals written down, reading those goals every day so you understand and keep that focus and stay on track. So that's to me number one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's something, and that's something you'll spend your life trying to refine, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
self-control. It's being able to control your attention span on what you're doing. And then the second thing is being consistent. You know, you can't just be focused one day a week or 1 hour a day. You know, you got to learn to discipline yourself and be focused and consistent. So every day you have to do something on your business. And if you're working another job, that's fine. But you say, every day I'm going to do something. I'm going to spend an hour, I'm going to spend 2 hours, I'm going to spend 3 hours, I'll spend whatever I can spend, you know, to build this business. The more time I can spend, faster I can crunch activity into shorter time frames, and the faster I can generate results. But I'm going to do it consistently. You can't do it 3 days and then don't do it 4, and then do it 1 day and don't do it 5, and then do it 5 days and don't do it 3. And it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Because your downline can never count on you. They don't know when they're going to get you and when they're not for a three-way call or for, you know, a webinar or whatever it might be. And so you have to get consistent.
What do you think the average person in your organization, what's their time commitment per week for somebody who's wanting to build something?
I would say 4 to 5 hours a week for
4 to
most
5?
people that are starting. Yeah.
And so how would you consistently provide, allocate that time in a week?
I would just say you got to do an hour a day. You got to do an hour a day. You know, I mean, I do it every day except Sunday. You know, but during that time frame, those 6 days, you got to do it. And if you got more time on a Saturday, on a weekend or something, then do it. But it is definitely part-time on the sides, evenings and weekends, but you got to just be consistent every day.
Well, let me ask you this. Why do you still do it? Because a lot of people would say, you're there. You've arrived. You've already achieved all these different things. Why do you still do it every day but Sunday? What drives you to do that?
Well, it's just because it's kind of what you do, you know, it's kind of
fun?
you. Yeah, it's who you become. I mean, if you spend enough time in your life and you're engaged in this, you're engaged with all these people. You know,
relationships,
and
right?
it's relationships, but it's also, you know, there's a lot of people that have believed what I've told them, and I don't want to have any failure on their part be the result of my lack of effort or my inaccessibility or my not being attentive or not watching the ship a little bit. You know, you got to pay attention to what's going on. You got to pay attention with your company. You know, you got to make sure that nobody's being stupid and crashing the ship, right?
Right.
And so, and I'm not saying that with our company. We've got incredible management and everything else, but you do have to pay attention, and you got to pay attention to kind of what's going on, the dynamics of your leaders and your distributor base, and what's going on in different parts of the world. You know, if you've got business in different places, so there's things to take care of, and these people are your friends, and you know, you hold a certain place where you should be able to get some things done that need to be done, or help people that need help.
Right.
So I think it's a little bit irresponsible just to say, I've made it. Well, you didn't make it. You didn't make it on your own.
Right.
You know, it's you and this whole team of people that have made it together, and I think you got some responsibility to pay attention.
Are you able to before we get into the 4 kind of business principles, are you able to balance? Are you able to balance your life? You know, spiritual, family, fun, and business. And, you know, what does that look like?
I think that's another big, you know, self-discipline struggle. You know, it's, I have to admit, the first 2 years I was completely lopsided. I mean, it was 16 to 18 hours a day building.
Is that required to be lopsided for a season?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen people do it just kind of balanced, but it may take longer.
A little burst of energy.
For me, I'm just one of those people that I get so obsessed and focused, and I think a lot of people are like that you just have a task in front of you that you want to get it done. In my case, I was scared to death.
Right.
You know, I mean, I had $30,000 in the bank. I had to have $5,000 a month to pay my bills. I had 3 beautiful little daughters at home and a beautiful wife, new house payment, and I had 6 months of money in the bank. And if I didn't make more than $5,000 in 6 months, I was toast. And so I was in take no prisoner mode.
You
It
had
was
some
like,
reasons.
I don't care if people say yes. I don't care if they say no. I know what I'm doing.
I'm
right?
going.
I've
right.
got to make it happen.
Yeah, that's probably where the high noon philosophy showed up.
It just, if they're not ready, there's nothing you can say
Right.
to them. You just move to the next one.
Right.
And
right.
that's something good to remember.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's talk about these.
Okay. So some of our guys have developed this thing called System 7.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they have 7 basic steps, and they would be the 7 basic steps for anybody.
Sure.
I don't care what company you're
Sure,
in. Okay.
sure.
And so it starts off with goal setting, and then contacts, and the invite, and the presentation, and the follow-up, and the getting started. And number 7 is called teamwork. And it's kind of like tacked onto the end of these 7 basic steps you would do through the normal recruiting and startup process for anybody. Okay. But these are the foundational principles, really, of our business. And I've spoken about these my entire career that I've been in the industry. And what these guys did is they just did a great job of kind of codifying those principles. And you'll find them through almost every company, right?
Yeah.
But it's just a good kind of framework to think about these principles in so that you kind of
I haven't heard of it.
understand.
I haven't heard it kind of labeled teamwork. That's kind of interesting.
Well, it all comes back because you're a team, and it all comes back to people being able to work together as a team. And so let's talk just about a couple of these, okay? There's 4 basic principles. These are like gravity. They don't ever change. You jump off a building, you're going to hit the ground, okay? You may decide if you want to jump or not, but you cannot pick the consequences of your action
Right.
there, okay? It's going to happen. So these are like that. They're going to happen, okay? So number 1 is duplication, all right? This is the key word in our business. I ask people all the time, why are you doing this? What is your motivation? And the answer is, most of the time they don't know it, but the answer is freedom.
Freedom, yeah.
Yeah, I want to be free. I've traveled and done this in 50 plus countries, and I find people are pretty much the same all over the world. They just want to be happy, and that happiness usually is centered around some kind of freedom. And that is political freedom, that's economic freedom,
Time freedom.
Yeah, it's all those things, health freedom and all those things. So it's about freedom. And I'm not going to sing this song, but you got to remember the lyrics of the song. It says you have to fight for the right
To
have
party?
freedom. To have freedom, right?
Right.
You got to fight for the right.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
you're going to have to fight in this business. So the key word that creates freedom is duplication. Okay? So what does that mean? Everything you do will be duplicated. The way you call somebody on the phone and approach them, the words you say, if they join you in that venture, they'll probably repeat the words you said to them to their people. The way you enrolled them in the business is the way they'll enroll their people in the business. The way you present likely ends up being the way they'll present the business. The tools you use will be the tools they use to build the business, okay? The methodologies that you use to create your organization will be the same methodologies. So everything will be duplicated, good or bad.
So even if you could take a shortcut, probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I would just say, you always have to stop and say to yourself, okay, is what I'm doing able to be duplicated?
Right.
And, you can get as simple as some people will come in and they've got a little bit of money and resources, and for them to invite their friends over, 10, 15 friends to, hear about this business, they have a little bit of this kind of anxiety still, and they want to make sure it looks really right, and they try to upscale it so people don't feel like, you're doing network marketing.
Yeah, money.
Exactly. And so here they come with, maybe even some wine and cheese for everybody. Don't do it. Ask yourself the question, can my people do this? And if they can't do it, you don't do it. Right? Or if they'll use that as their excuse and say, well, Eric could afford to build this business because he could put on the dog when everybody came over and have a nice
I don't think
party.
you have to have a nice house to be able to invite some people over or anything.
Right.
Yeah, we talk about the formula for financial independence. Here's how we put it together. See if you agree with this. Your ability to get a large group of people to do a few simple things over a consistent period of time.
That's great.
Big group, couple things, consistently.
Perfect.
Right?
Awesome.
So okay. Concept number 1 is duplication. The base level of duplication needs to be able to be done by everybody. Do you think that there's levels of duplication in an organization like somebody who's
There's all kinds of different skill sets.
yeah,
Right?
that don't duplicate as
And-
much,
and
but you're going to have your baseline
Well,
daily stuff.
and you'll learn what those are as you go. In
like
fact,
trainers and
I don't think you can learn them until you get to a certain point.
Sure.
I think you have to have a certain base of experience to be able to
the
understand
fundamental baseline.
right what you're going to do next, right?
Right.
And so so those things will
Sure,
increase or improve over time.
All right, what's the
For sure.
second one?
The second bedrock principle has to do with edification. And this is something that's really not obvious on its face, but once you start to do it and you're engaged in this industry, you'll find out it's absolutely critical. And so edification is a unique principle because what it means is that you're going to edify somebody else. It's really hard to edify yourself,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And if you have the right concept of edification in your mind, then you have the ability to really accelerate your business. So what does edification mean? It means you speak positively about whomever or whatever you're addressing or speaking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in this case, you're going to speak positively about the products,
Yep.
about the company,
Yep.
about your upline, about your downline, about your crossline.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to speak positive
About the profession.
yeah, about the industry itself, right? You're going to speak positive about all those things. You're never going to speak negatively about any of them because it doesn't really help your cause
Right.
at all.
Right.
Okay, it just brings you down when you do that.
Right.
And so I can always tell when someone calls me on the phone who's been taught the principle of edification in the proper way.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say that I'm doing a conference call or I'm doing a three-way call for somebody. I can just understand by the way they introduce me to the prospect if they've been taught properly or
Right.
not.
Of course.
So the wrong way to do it would be, John, yeah, I got this guy on the phone. His name's Nathan Ricks. Listen to what he's got to say.
Right.
Versus somebody who's been taught properly that calls up on the phone and they have already prepared the
We're
prospect.
very fortunate enough to
They
have
say,
this time.
they say, John, we're so lucky to have 5 minutes with Nathan right now. He's super busy. He's been very successful in this industry. He's done blah, blah, blah. He said, as we talked about, yesterday, that we may get this little window, have a few questions prepared, and I just want to, again, say how lucky we are to have this time. So let's make the most of it.
Right.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Right.
And then John's just eating out of my hand. Mr. Ricks,
Yeah, right.
man, I'm really glad we got these few minutes together. Yeah, I've prepared a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. What do you think about this or this or this? And then what's happened is the distributor has gone ahead and empowered me to help him.
Yeah.
To help him.
And when you come
He
on,
didn't do it to stroke me. I don't care about that stuff, right?
Right.
All I want him to do is to empower me so I'm in a position to really
help him.
influence his prospect.
right.
And so what happens at that point then, before the end of that call, if I've learned the principle properly, I want to make sure that I give it back
Yep.
to
That's
him.
what I was going to say. Yeah.
Exactly. I've got to say to John now,
You're lucky. You're with a good guy.
Bill is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, John's thinking, he was a screw up in high school.
Yeah.
Man, this guy must have changed,
He's
or
got
whatever he
access
is.
to me. He's made some
Yeah.
things happen.
Bill is doing incredible.
Mm-hmm.
He's relatively new, but he's moving quickly. He's building an awesome team, We're
Right.
fully supportive of him. You're really, really lucky to be able to
Yeah,
work
and that's
directly
10
with Bill.
seconds.
And
10 seconds.
and it's done.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, if I'm just an egomaniac and I'm just glad that he edified me and I want to,
Thank you. You're right. Yeah.
great. Okay, Bill, great. Bring the next one or whatever, right? I mean, that's not it at all. Your job is to duplicate.
Right.
And the way you duplicate is you empower other people so that they have that same kind of ability. And all of a sudden, what Joe will do, or Jim, whoever else, what they'll do is they'll then do that with their prospects, and they bring them to Bill, and they go, wow, we're lucky to talk to Bill.
Yep.
Right? And it doesn't have to be...
And that becomes duplicated.
That's right.
Right.
They'll duplicate that through their entire organization. And so it's really hard, for Bill to say to his friend, his prospect, to say, look, I'm really cool. I'm doing this thing really big. You need to really listen to me.
Right.
It just falls flat.
Right.
It's like a wet blanket.
Right.
So you can't edify yourself. The principle is that you can only edify other people. And in just a couple of seconds, I can give it back to him and put that guy in a position where he can now really run. So edification is a really key component.
Yeah,
to what we do.
and some of the best organizations I've worked with, trained, helped over the years, they got really good at this. I mean, there's one in particular that within the leadership hierarchy, they looked the part, they dressed the part, They were Mr. and Mrs. and they were proper and they were respectful and they were introducing and they learned how to do it. They just cold, right?
It all makes a difference.
But then the person being edified learned to earn the edification. So they wouldn't show up sloppy at a presentation. They wouldn't have track pants, and flip-flops, because it's harder to edify flip-flops. You got to do a fancy story to edify flip-flops when you're bringing up a guest, right?
Right.
So does that matter? The image of the structure?
Yeah, that's a whole nother training, right?
Yeah, but I'd like to get your feedback on it, because we're in such every day is casual Friday in our profession.
This is what
nowadays.
Dan McCormick
It drives
talks
me nuts
about when he talks about the art of recruiting and promotion, and his millionaire training.
Yeah,
Dan's a master at this. You know, and sometimes you have to stop in anything you do, and you have to say to yourself, okay, what's our objective? Okay, our objective is we're doing an opportunity presentation. Our objective is we're going to have guests. We're going to recruit people, and you need to understand that there's a pre-meeting, and there's a meeting, and there's a post-meeting. And there's different activities that happen during those things. And there's a way the room should look, and there's a way the music should work, and there's a way any displays you may have work, and there's a way you're going to run the meeting, and there's the way the attire should be, and there's all those issues, for sure. But that's a different training.
All right.
Okay.
But you agree that it's important?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
just understand, if somebody's going to talk positively about you, you need to earn that a little bit. You need to take on that responsibility.
But the other part of that, Eric, is that people will rise to the level that you expect them to. And if you praise people and you expect them to perform in a certain way, many times they'll rise up to fill that role.
Yeah.
Right? And you can pull them right along.
All right, so principle number 2.
Edification.
Number 3.
Yeah, and the third one is respecting cross-line.
Okay.
And sometimes this is called no cross-lining.
Right.
Okay? And this is your insurance policy. Okay? This is really important. All right? What it means is that there's certain people that have a financial interest in your success, and there's other people that don't.
Right.
And what you need to do is to learn to look upline to those people that have a financial interest in your success for your guidance, for your coaching, for your advice, for all those things. Okay? And it's kind of like this. All of us have had kids that play some kind of sport, whether it's soccer or football or basketball or whatever it is. Okay? And if you've ever been to one of these games with these young children that are out there playing around, you got some dad and maybe another dad, whoever's decided they're going to be the coach, and they're volunteering their time to help this team. And they've spent the days when the games aren't happening, when the parents aren't there, coaching these kids. But all of a sudden it's Saturday morning and it's time for a soccer game or whatever it is, right? All the parents line up. And the problem that happens during the game is the parents are screaming at their own kids so loud, Johnny, kick that ball, get over it. Oh, man, don't let him run by you like that. And the parents are screaming so loud that the kids can't even hear the coach. That's the problem, okay? And if you're listening to all these other voices that are maybe even well-meaning but perhaps misguided, then you may miss the mark. You may actually be listening to the wrong coach. They may be even on a different team.
So when you're talking about focus, you're saying focus on your team within the structure.
What I'm saying is this: edification is so important. Here's how our business works. Most people aren't going to make it. They're not going to really go to the top and build a huge business, right? Because they won't be focused and they won't be consistent, right? They get distracted. Things happen. Life happens to them, right? More than half the people are going to quit. It's normal. Plan on it. Okay, that's just the way it is, right? And so once you understand that and you're dealing with those realities, you have to realize that there's a whole bunch of people that are on their way out. That's just the way it is. What happens is they want to satisfy, it's kind of negative emotional energy, to satisfy themselves as to why they won't make it. And so they're going to get negative. And they say, oh man, the comp plan's not fair, it's too hard, or the product didn't really work the way that I was thinking it would work, or my upline, man, that guy's an idiot, or he didn't do what, I called him like 4 times and he wouldn't even return my call, or I can't get any support. These are the negative comments that people will say to justify their lack of performance. Right. And so it's kind of a negative emotional satisfaction they get out of verbalizing their lack of failure.
Trying to get some empathy from
their lack of failure. That's what happens. And so you have to kind of guard yourself against that. You kind of have to understand who to listen to and who not to listen to.
Okay.
Who's your coach?
Right.
It's only the person that's got a financial interest in your success. Right? And so that's who you should look to. And that's who you should listen to. And you shouldn't listen to all these other people. Okay? So this ends up being kind of the insurance policy to protect you or to protect your downline from that negative emotional energy that kind of that happens as part of the normal process of people not succeeding at what they're trying to accomplish.
So when you're saying you got your group and you're telling them, okay, let's look to your coach, the person who has a financial interest in you, the team of people that have a financial interest in you.
Right.
That's who you're going to follow. That's who you're going to listen to.
That's right.
And we're not going to listen to any other distractions. All distractions are equal, even if it's inside of our own company.
That's right.
All distractions are equal.
That's right.
So, but you're still part of the greater team. So
Sure
you're not isolating and saying we don't talk to those people.
No.
Because
You
you'll
talk
see
to those
people at the conventions and
That's
you'll
right.
say hi.
But what you have to be careful of,
you won't let yourself be distracted.
you got to be careful of the people that are sitting out in the lobby instead of in the meeting.
Yeah.
You got to be careful of the people that are in the dark corners and in the shadows that are going, I don't know about this. I'm not sure this is for real. I'm thinking about looking at something else or whatever they're doing.
People who take a phone call.
The ones that are sitting on the front row, that are taking notes, that are engaged, that are positive and moving forward, great. But just remember, who's got the interest in your success? Okay, the financial interest in your success.
Interesting. All right.
So think about that a
Cool.
little bit too. Okay?
All right.
So
That's number 3.
that's number 3. So duplication, edification, respecting your cross lines, and number 4 is coaching. Okay, and a lot of people will say coaching. So what does that mean? Okay, my attitude is this: 95. Well, let's restate that. Your first 3 to 4, maybe 5 years in this business, 99% of your time is spent doing one thing. That's recruiting. You don't have to manage the company, build the products. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Your job is
99%.
Is to recruit.
How about the people they bring in 3 people, say, you know what, I have to stop recruiting because I have this obligation to make these 3 people successful.
That's as soon as they do that, they're starting to die.
Right.
Because
now, a lot of people don't.
More than half the people aren't going to make it. Anyway.
We talk about this gateway skill of recruiting a lot, and we talk about you got to focus on it, you got to spend time on it. But it's interesting to hear someone at the pinnacle of success who's helped so many other people say 99% for your first 3 to 5 years. So if you have the urge to be a coach, if you have the urge to be, let's assemble and let me give you my wisdom. Yeah. If you have the urge to do any of these other things,
look,
it's not the right thing to do.
I don't care what the structure of your comp plan is. Okay,
right.
I mean, there's diverse different plans. I don't care. Your job is to recruit. Either you're recruiting frontline or you're recruiting downline.
And you're teaching them how to do this.
That's right. And duplicating downline.
You're just staying and recruiting.
You're either going wide or you're chasing the business. Right. So either way,
you're not just saying go wide and throw everything against the wall.
No, what I'm saying is
you're going to be engaged in recruiting activities.
The most effective way,
your personal or in your group.
Right. Even in our comp plan, the most effective way to build is that you recruit wide until you have enough people to work with. 2, 3, 4 people, maybe 5, maybe. And then you are just driving through those people. It's 6 degrees of separation. Yeah. Everybody's already connected. Who can we talk to? There are already concentric circles that overlap and they're connected.
They edify you.
There's linkage
talk to them.
Exactly.
You edify back.
That's the work of what we do. It's sharing the stories. That's what it is. And it's person to person to person to person. It's not Facebook to Facebook sharing the story. Okay? What it is you utilize the person-to-person recruiting, and then you use the tools to disseminate information, meetings, trainings, videos, whatever it might be. Okay?
So you're talking about recruiting 99%.
It's still belly to belly, man.
But then you say the fundamental principles coaching.
Yeah, that's the 4th one.
Well, but how does that line up with this 99% recruiting?
The way it lines up is the only time that you coach or try to manage anybody or assist them in that way, other than in the trenches recruiting, which is on-the-job training, right? Recruiting trains, right? Training doesn't recruit.
Right, I agree.
Okay, so you have to be in the trenches. It's all on-the-job training.
Say that again.
You have to be
No. Recruiting trains. Training doesn't recruit.
That's right.
I love that.
Yeah.
He just glossed over it. Recruiting trains. You
Yeah,
recruit.
that's right.
Training doesn't recruit. Have you said that for forever?
It's all live, yeah. It's all live.
Wow.
Real bodies.
Love that.
Not fake, not role playing. It's real people. You're talking. Just go do it.
Love that
Yeah.
so much.
Just go do it. So you're on the job training. That's what you're doing 99% of the time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You take the other 1% and you take that for maybe 20, 30 minutes, and you do that right after the end of the month. Most of our business happens in the last week of the month.
Yeah.
Pretty much in every company. So once you get it done, your month end's done, your volumes are done, your recruiting, your qualifications are all done. Then what you do is you sit down with your key people and you say, how did we do?
Yeah.
Last month we talked about this is what we're going to do. This many people, this many presentations, this many people we're going to sign up, this much volume. We're going to create this many new pin titles, this many leaders, whatever it is. These were our metrics. How did we do?
Right.
And we have an accounting.
Right.
And we sit down and we talk about how we did or how we didn't do. And we say, okay, why didn't we do as well in this one? How
Right.
come? What do you think? You tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Okay, and then say, here's what I would suggest. Now, what are we going to do this month? How are we going to change those? And that's where you spend 20 minutes with your key people and you
A little bit of
reload.
coaching and
You
accountability.
reload for this month.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do? You map out, okay, I need you Tuesday night, I need you on Thursdays, I've got this conference we're doing in this city on this day. And what you do is you map the month and then you go recruit and you execute the
But
month.
then you have to have the discipline to go out of that mode and back into 99% recruiting.
Oh, that's all that counts.
Right.
Nothing else counts.
So fascinating.
Yeah, nothing else counts.
Recruiting trains. Training doesn't recruit.
You know?
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
my biggest takeaway of this whole
Okay.
this whole time.
So that's the coaching piece of it, and that's where you need to have a journal of some kind
Where you
where
keep
you can
track.
keep track
Mm-hmm.
of your stuff. It's just basic stuff, right? Duplication, edification, respecting cross-line, and coaching.
And coaching.
Yep.
And the two personal principles are at the
Yep.
beginning.
You got to have focus and consistency.
Awesome. Now, I believe that we're kind of entering into a golden era as the economies are changing around the world and everybody's looking for opportunity and they're seeing that the old model is kind of broken and they're looking for freedom. I think we're entering into a golden age. What do you see? You travel all around the world. What do you see as the opportunity ahead of us? You know, the next 5-10 years. What's your vision for this profession and how it can help people?
Well, the future is extremely bright, and it's extremely bright because of the last economic recession that's happened on a global basis. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so what you have right now is you have people who've had their retirement plans destroyed, and even though the Dow's back to 13,000, and so on and so forth, they still haven't recovered their same principal amounts they had before the crash 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's just because of a basic principle. If you lose 50% of the value of your account, you have to have 100% return to get back to even. It's twice as hard to go up as it is to go down.
Wow.
And so people have never, even now, even though markets are kind of at parity of where they were before, people's accounts are not there. They haven't recovered, and they won't for a long, long time. And that problem is that time's their enemy because it's working against them as they look towards retirement and so forth. And so one of the really big needs globally in the next 10 and 20 years is going to be supplementary income. They're going to have it because Social Security's not going to handle it in this country. Europe is absolutely and utterly broke.
Yep.
The party's over in Europe. There's no more 35-hour work weeks and 2-month vacations and all that stuff that those guys did for a long time. They have borrowed, and there's no more borrowing, and it's over. And so I'm really bullish on Europe. As the reality descends upon the heads of those people,
For network marketing.
I'm super bullish, okay? I'm bullish on network marketing right here in the U.S. I'm bullish on Asia for network marketing. I'm bullish on the whole world because what people are going to find out as they get older is I can't retire. I have to keep working. In fact, a recent survey they just did about a month ago, they asked a whole bunch of people, when do you expect to retire now that all this economic trouble's happened, right? You know what the answer was?
Never.
80.
80.
I'll retire at 80. What's life expectancy in America?
77.
Yeah, 79.5
Is that
or
what
almost
it is?
80. So in other words, you're never going to retire, right? I mean, that's the point of it. Is they're not going to have the capability to do it if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Pension plans, cities are broke, counties are broke, states are upside down. You know, I mean, the federal government is in a huge, massive hole that we will never dig out of, perhaps. I mean, it's going to take cuts and austerity like people have never seen for us to even try to right the ship.
Yeah.
And so what you're talking about is a world awash in debt, you know, lots of payback that has to happen, people who haven't been able to be disciplined in their own personal lives to save or have any kind of vehicle that would allow them to even get some money to set aside. They're paying everything that they have. And so there's going to be an absolutely massive need for supplementary income. They're going to have it. And when you're, you know, between 65 and 90, not likely you're going to be digging ditches for that supplementary income. People are probably going to need a business that all they have to do is use their mouth and talk. That's something they can do, even in their older age, to create supplementary income.
I love that.
So, yeah, I think that we're in a really good spot.
I love that. All right, this show is going to be viewed by hundreds of thousands of people. And let me tell you something about this group. They want this so bad. They feel in their heart that this is for them. They want to go pro. They want to become professionals. They want to make a living here. They want to help other people. I want you to kind of imagine an arena of 250,000 people.
That's a big arena.
A big arena. And I want you just to look in the camera and give them your thoughts and your encouragement, your kind of closing talk as far as, you know, what would you have to say to this group that really has those hopes and dreams inside of them? Tell them.
Well, Eric, I would say that one of my favorite quotes in the world, I don't know if it's really a poem or not, but the author is unknown, and it goes like this: the greatest loss in life is the difference between human potential versus actual performance. You know, and you stop and you think about that and say, wow, that's the greatest loss in life. What it means is that every one of you, every one of us, has unlimited potential. We are capable of accomplishing so much more than most people accomplish in their lives. And so what you want to do is you want to just understand that your potential is unlimited. You can literally do anything you want to do. I mean, I try to teach my kids that. You know, I say, listen, you can do anything. You set your mind to it, you write it down, it can happen, right? I mean, Leonardo da Vinci said, obstacles cannot crush me. You know, obstacles yield to stern resolve. You know, you can break down any obstacle, no matter how big you think it is, you know, how insurmountable you think it might be. It doesn't really matter. Just keep every day, just keep doing it. Just, you know, put one foot in front of the other. You know, one of our leaders in our business, Russ Carlin, says it's 90% just showing up. Just show up every day. That's it. Most people can't even show up. And so if you can just discipline yourself just to show up, be focused, be consistent, just keep putting one foot in front of the other every day, then it will happen. That's my message to you. You know, it's not going to happen in one just fell swoop, and it's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have disappointment, you're going to have discouragement, and your job is to not let those things bump you out of the boat, okay? Just stay in the boat, just keep moving forward, and you will gain the skill sets, you'll get the words in your mouth, you'll become very effective at what you do, and you'll start to be able to influence a lot of lives in the process. So that would be my advice. Take courage, have hope, you can do it, you deserve it, you know, it's worth it to pay the price, and you'll enjoy the benefits, and so will many other people.
All right, well, Nathan, I know your time's valuable.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you for taking the time. He's doing this out of the goodness of his heart to give back to the profession, give back to the profession's done well for him, and for the hundreds of thousands of people that you've been able to personally impact in your organization. But I hope you enjoyed this interview. If you have, post your comments below. What did you learn from this? What did you learn from Mr. Ricks? You know, spread the word. Share this out to everybody. It's free, doesn't cost anything. We want to take this profession to another level. So ladies and gentlemen, my wish for you is that you decide to become a network marketing professional. You decide to go pro, because it is a stone cold fact that we have a better way. Now let's go tell the world. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.